Rose moved down to Florida from New York with her boyfriend and his mother, knocking on doors, ringing doorbells, driving all across Lee County, but either got no answer, no one home, or the former and current city leaders issued a subpoena didn't want to comment. The chief hasn't wanted to talk about it. He called the report concerning, but says the past is the past. What were you thinking when you started to read that?
I'm not going to talk about what happened when our first reactions.
Those palm trees blowing in the wind, they look like they're about to snap. You can already start to feel it a little bit more standing between the trees. And we've also been trying to pick it up just to kind of show you how heavy it is. It's not just one tree. Look, the whole road is covered in these trees. We're looking at 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 inches of water just covering their property, and very big branches just like these ones covering the roads. If you can believe it, a palm tree just completely snapped in half here, making a perfect 90-degree angle, and we continue to find these pieces of metal all over this property. They were safe until the roof blew off in the middle of the storm. Jacqueline doesn't know how many shooters were involved or how many times he was shot. She does believe it was captured on these surveillance cameras outside the house. We're also learning that those officers who may have leaked that information were also promoted within the department. Taylor and her friends here at Bishop Verot decided these items need to go south, and they'll get them there this Friday in this U-Haul. We've been up and down the Gulf Coast over the past couple of days. We've seen plenty of damage. We've seen the flooding. We've seen waves coming up over the roads. We've seen trees into homes. This has got to be some of the worst damage that we've seen so far. These are just 2 moms in Southwest Florida grieving the loss of their sons. Just 2 moms begging law enforcement to find the people responsible. 25 Lee County schools now use restorative practices and have seen out-of-school suspensions drop. Here at the Success Academy, they saw 204 suspensions during the first semester of last year and only 30 this year. The state never filed any charges against Eugene Johnson, but we found out today that FDLE sent 2 volumes of case files to the state 1 month ago today.
How bad is this locally in our community?
It's bad, and it's here, and it's a problem that people hear about across the country. They think it's in big cities, but it's also in the suburbs, and it's also right here in Southwest Florida. Users are getting younger and younger, and from a recent JAMA report, we're now learning that it's young white men that are using. CEOs of companies, college students, it doesn't matter who you are, this drug is affecting a lot of families, and families right here in Southwest Florida. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. I'm Michelle Kingston. Breaking now, a man accused of invading a Cape Coral home and stealing the family's Christmas presents is now in jail. Wink News just learned there were little improvements overnight for the Fort Myers mother struck by lightning.
You're a huge Star Wars fan. Which one's your favorite movie?
I wouldn't even be able to tell you what the other names are. I don't even know how many there have been.
Sorry, she doesn't like Star Wars. Fans out there, sorry.
6,450 calls in the past year. It's a lot, but when we looked at what the calls were for, a majority of them were for extra patrols, which is when police check an area known for criminal activity, increasing their visibility to try to make it safer. But is it working? We've been out on this well-known troubled street a few times this past month to see what the people who live there think.
Sometimes you hear gunshots.
Last year, it just got more and more aggressive.
Davis Court is a street in the center of the Harlan Lakes neighborhood in Fort Myers. One day last year, it saw 2 shootings in just 7 hours.
We got a gunshot drill. It's sad, but it's true.
And over the past 365 days, it hasn't gotten much better. Just last month, this car was hit by random gunfire.
The paths of the bullet would have been straight through that bedroom window.
It's a wildfire with gun violence.
Davis Court is a street filled with families, working adults, and a lot of crime. Police have responded there 6,450 times in the past year. 12 of those calls were for gunshots. Compare those numbers to a street right next to Davis Court, Fairview Avenue. Police responded there 289 times. 8 were for gunshots. A street just across Martin Luther King Boulevard, Lemon Street, saw just 81 calls. 2 were for gunshots. And Sandra Drive, further south off McGregor Boulevard, saw just 30 calls and no gunshots in the past year.
Gotta stop killing each other. We gotta learn how to help uplift each other.
Eric Walker lives on Davis Court with his family. They moved here a year ago to try to bring about change to the community through faith and love.
Faith, yeah, 96 Bulls, great.
And Christian-based hip-hop. They're frustrated by the hundreds of thousands of dollars put into the cameras on the end of the street.
They could have gave us that money. We could have built the team of mentors.
They say Fort Myers could be a safer community if the people and the police had a better relationship.
And it's not going to start with a kickball game. It's going to start with knowing how they really live.
And in the meantime, this couple will work together to try to make Davis Court a safer place.
We don't live off of fear. We live off of faith and love.
The home that the Walkers live in was almost a substation for police. Fort Myers police say they're considering several spots for substations to better monitor troubled neighborhoods. They wouldn't tell us where or when that might happen. We also requested an interview with the Fort Myers police chief about Davis Court, but we did not hear back. Live in the studio, Michelle Kingston, Wink News Now.
This is how easy it is for someone to get drugs down here.
It's Friday night in Fort Myers.
Lots of dope in here. Lots of dope in here.
We're riding along US 41 with a drug addict in recovery.
He is on heroin and crack out of there.
He's asked us to hide his face and change his voice. We're calling him Michael for his safety.
The guy that manages this motel, he does heroin.
He points out motels and inns, convenience stores and gas stations where he says he knows drugs are being sold, because these are the spots where he says he'd buy heroin, right here in Fort Myers.
You know, a lot of us out here are broken, and that's why they're out here.
With drugs comes prostitution, and girls and pimps are seen walking down these streets every night of the week.
Hey, baby.
We see firsthand how easy it is to buy drugs in women.
What's going on, baby? How you doing?
The woman walks over to her car and tells Michael she's ready to party.
How much?
When Michael was using, he made ads on Backpage for money, a popular site for girls selling themselves for sex.
I stayed in the hotel every night.
So you would make enough money to pay for a room?
We'd make enough money to buy our drugs and buy a room.
But motel owners in the hottest drug spots in town deny any problems in their rooms.
You don't see prostitutes coming into these rooms?
The Fort Myers Inn refused to comment for our story, but according to the Lee County Sheriff's Office, deputies have responded to the motel more than 400 times in the past year for all types of calls, including drugs.
If we can save 1, 2, or 3 people out of 10, it makes my hours in the day worth it.
Doctors like Brandon Short are aware of the drug use in the county. He works with recovering addicts.
We see about a 30% recovery rate, but 30% is better than 0%.
He tries every day to keep people off the streets, away from heroin. But the toughest part of his job is knowing he can't save them all.
If they're not ready, you can't talk them into being ready. It has to be what they want.
You gotta man up. No one's gonna take control of your life but you. No one's gonna make that step but you. So you gotta just make it. You gotta do it.
And I felt really nervous, like shaky.
A burglar in Cape Coral climbed through a window, stealing jewelry, alcohol, and a camera before getting away.
What kind of people or animals have been inside my home?
A similar scene a few months later in Lehigh Acres.
I was sobbing. Anger, concern, fear.
According to a SafeWise report, a burglary takes place every 18 seconds in the United States.
He was hiding, he was standing in this little alcove.
The Florida Department of Law Enforcement says burglaries have decreased in the state of Florida over the past 5 years, but they are the least solved crime in our region. And in the state of Florida, there were more than 100,000 burglaries compared to about 1,000 murders last year. And while more than half of the murders were solved, 83% of the burglaries were not.
It was just very, very scary because it was an invasion of privacy.
Oftentimes, victims don't file reports, don't want to press charges, or there's a lack of evidence, and the criminals get away.
They want to work fast, get in and get out. They don't want to attract attention to themselves.
With so many burglaries going unsolved, Police recommend purchasing a home security system and install a camera that can often help solve the crime. The crime that leaves you not only feeling vulnerable and terrified, but also out hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. The FBI reports burglary victims lost $4 billion in 2010.
A lot of times the damages that it's caused don't meet your deductible, so there's really no coverage at all.
The FBI says victims lose an average of about $2,000, and homeowners insurance doesn't typically cover these crimes. They recommend taking photos of your valuables now in order to help you get some of your money back if you fall victim to the crime in the future.
Dear Michelle,
my name is Tiffany Major, and I am one of the many concerned parents of Lee County.
Our community has cried out on numerous occasions due to the crime we have been experiencing, with our young teens being killed left and right.
Last month, Wink News introduced you to these inspiring young mothers.
I'm trying my best to make Fort Myers known for more than just Club Blue.
Writing dozens of letters to First Lady Michelle Obama, hoping to bring change to Southwest Florida.
I wake up to, well, that person was shot, or that person was shot.
It's getting out of control, completely out of control, and it's young kids. It's 17, 18, 19.
Letter after letter, shooting after shooting. These women finally received a response from the First Lady. Her schedule too busy for the trip.
We're hoping that eventually they will make their way down here.
Hopefully she'll see that it's not only irate mothers and fathers, there's children out here that are crying out for help that want something to change in their city. But I am going to keep writing, and I'm going to keep encouraging others to write, and sooner or later you are going to wonder what this little town is about. I'm not going to stop writing. I'm not going to stop writing.
Michelle Kingston, Wink News Now.